Hello again, Canada. This is Stephen King of the Freedom Party of Canada. You can see our website, www.freedompartyofcanada.com. This video is about eliminating harm to Canadians. Under the Trudeau regime, a lot of harm has happened to Canadians across this country. The Trudeau government is part of a globalist elite plan to enslave all Canadians. Google pics of Trudeau and Freeland at the World Economic Forum, where Klaus Schwab says you will own nothing and be happy. He personally is responsible for so much harm to Canadians that the question is not whether he caused harm. The question is, where do you start in listing all the harm he has caused? First thing, the plandemic. Globalist elites have said that they have used the pandemic as a measure to see how they could control us, the average citizen. I'd say they succeeded in their evil plot. They locked you down, which did nothing positive, forced you to wear masks that made you breathe in your own waste gas, CO2, and caused you to have bacteria on your face, and they caused businesses to collapse. But having said all that, perhaps the worst thing is that Trudeau doubled a national debt that took 150 years to accumulate. He did that in just 6 months. We now owe about $2.1 trillion, if my numbers are right. Those might actually even be a little bit behind where we're at right now. He is continually upping the amount, so I may be even way off at this point. Health officers of provinces who are unelected officials took on the power of dictators. Never again, Canada. The Freedom Party of Canada will never allow this to happen again. Our party will do the following. Number 1, reduce the power of all public health officials and provincial health laws so that they cannot lock you down for a so-called virus that had a death rate of 0.003%. Lockdowns and any other serious measures like this will only even be considered if there's a death rate of 20%, like the Black Plague in the Middle Ages, which was even more than 20%. Number 2, media in any health scare will have to start every segment quoting the current death rate and say the word only in front of it. For example, this new pandemic has a death rate of only 0.0005%, meaning it is not a great concern for the Canadian people. No more propaganda and scare tactics of cases, cases, cases. Number 3, no health officer, government official, or employer will be able to penalize you or force you to take any medications, including the V. Your body is your body. Number 4, any individual who lost their job, was laid off, or suffered damage from employers because they did not take the V will be subject to compensation. Number 5, any person laid off or fired for not taking the V must be given their job back with full pay for any time off they had to take. Number 6, public health laws in provinces will be superseded by new federal public health laws that do not allow these dictatorial procedures to happen again. Any provincial health minister in a pandemic who recommended these measures will not be allowed to continue in this position ever again. Next up, GMOs, or genetically modified organisms. Much evidence has shown that GMOs are harmful to people, and in fact, evidence is coming out showing that some of the healthy effects of non-GMOs have been taken out of our food. For example, new evidence is coming out that eating the seeds in many fruit is actually good for you and may prevent diseases like cancer and others. Have you noticed lately there are no seeds in oranges and other fruits? Even bananas have been modified. The Freedom Party of Canada will require that all fruits and plants have their seeds, and we will ban all GMOs for the Canadian public. Next up, fluoride. Fluoride has been identified as a neurotoxin. That basically means it's poison. The Freedom Party of Canada will demand and enforce that fluoride will no longer be added to any water or any food or drink, and that it will be eliminated from all toothpaste as well. And that means that dentists will not be allowed to use fluoride either. Next one, the cost of goods and inflation. They've greatly harmed all Canadians. This is because of one man, Justin Trudeau, and his asinine policies. What is the Freedom Party of Canada going to do about this to make life more affordable for all Canadians? Well, I'm glad you asked. Number one, expand our oil industry. Canada has the third largest oil reserves in the world. Trudeau, a real enemy of Alberta, has tried to eliminate our natural advantages in the world. To hell with that. We will drill more. We will reduce taxes on our oil industry, build more refineries, and take the shackles off of Alberta. And we will build pipelines. Pipelines not only from east to west, but nobody else has thought of this. We're also going to build pipelines from north to south to deliver oil and gas more economically, putting more dollars in your pockets and making it affordable to live in the north for once. Next up, stop the climate change scare tactics and the bullshit. It's a hoax. We will encourage farmers to raise more cattle and produce beef at a cheaper price for consumers. You should be able to have your steaks, your hamburgers, and what else? Okay? At a good price, like the old days. Next up, we will expand our military to 2.5%. That doesn't seem like very much, does it? 2.5% of the population, but guess what? Do the math. 2.5% of 40 million people is 1 million people. Right now, our military is a joke. 80,000 people to help protect the second largest landmass in the world with 40 million people, with 40-year-old planes that are obsolete, 30-year-old ships that are obsolete, and about 15-year-old tanks that are close to obsolete. The military is going to get expanded, and we're going to give them the right equipment. Next up, we will create government-run banks to reduce your borrowing costs. Food stores to keep food competitive at good prices, and gas stations to keep your gas prices cheap. So there's 3 areas we're going to have government-run things: banks, food stores, and gas stations. Why? Well, 2 reasons why. Number 1, competition breeds better prices for you, the consumer. We want to bring your prices down to make life more affordable. And number 2, the Trudeau government has jacked up our debt to over $2 trillion. That's going to have to get paid down at some point. So, better that we give you a loan at half the cost to you that other banks or credit card companies would give you, saving you tons of money, but at the same time, giving the interest rate to the government so we can help pay off the debt and make life more affordable. Common sense. We will create telecommunications to decrease the cost of your internet and phone bill. Canada has some of the highest internet and phone rates in the world. Why? Because the phone lines are longer? No. That's ridiculous. We need to bring the prices down for you. We are going to create university studies on the health of 5G, which is currently being employed. There is much evidence to suggest that 5G can stimulate the health risks of the flu and cause many physical maladies. Read more on our website about that. Next up, homelessness. Under the Trudeau regime, homelessness is rampant. Why? Why did the homelessness go up during the Trudeau regime? A couple reasons. Number one, flooding the country with immigrants. Number two, allowing the country to have properties bought up by foreigners, jacking up the prices, and allowing the prices to go rampant. Okay? That's going to end. We're going to get it under control. We will enroll all homeless people in the Canadian military as part of our expansion of the Defence Forces. What will this do? Think about it now. It will give them employment and a paycheck. It will give them free accommodations to live in. They were homeless. They will now have a home. It will give them free food to feed them. Wait, you say. Many of these people are not in working condition. You're right. We will also give them free rehabilitation from within the Canadian Forces to get off drugs, alcohol, and turn their lives around. And once again, what does that do? That creates more taxpayers. And who collects the taxes? The government. And how do we pay off this massive debt? With more tax money coming in. Not with money going out. Common sense. Under the Trudeau government, poverty has skyrocketed. Has this guy done anything right? The quick answer is no. How is the Freedom Party of Canada going to deal with this? To quote one of my favorite politicians from the past, Mr. Jean Chrétien, the most palatable liberal in the last 50 years, jobs, jobs, jobs. We're going to create jobs by, number one, in the military, creating 920,000 new jobs to bring our Canadian military up to 1 million men and women. We will have to create new military bases to do so. That will also get people to work. Creating a new Canadian banking system that is not beholden to international markets. Something sinister is happening worldwide. Globalists are pushing for central bank digital currency. Well, everything is digital anyway. Maybe we should just get rid of paper money, you might say. Hold that thought. And hell no. You see, the globalists want to go digital for one reason: to control every aspect of your life. It is also why they want electric cars. The climate change excuse is just bullshit to propel their dictatorial plan of worldwide control into place. By the way, they say the next pandemic is a water shortage. That might be their next plan to control you. You heard it here first. So imagine central bank digital currency is in place. You worked hard in your life and you have $1 million in your saving for retirement. Don't we all wish? But just let's pretend you do. But you don't like the current government and you speak out against them. With one push of a digital button, your life savings is wiped out. And you're on the street, homeless, without a job, and without any money. That, my friends, is evil. Evil is a word they don't like to use these days, but it's true. So we are going to create a banking system with paper money that is separate from the world banks. And if they want to say, Canada, you have to use our digital system, we could just raise our middle fingers and say GFY. You can figure out for yourself what GFY stands for. All right, next up. Creating an alliance with like-thinking countries that are not buying the woke globalist climate change bullshit. Next up. Creating a government-run food store to keep the main food industry from scamming Canadian citizens. A lot of people are not aware of the monopoly on most industries, including food, from companies like BlackRock and Vanguard. We have to break the hold the monopolies have on every aspect of Canadian life. And that's almost everything. Only then can Canadians fend for themselves without being under the finger of globalist monopolies. Creating a government-run gas station that keeps all the other station prices low due to competition. If, with all these government-run businesses, bank, food, gas, these other companies are not competitive, then the Canadian government has a stranglehold on these industries, which will bring in more tax revenue to help us pay down Trudeau's $2.1 trillion debt. When the debt is paid down, all Canadians will live more affordably. Creating a government-run store like a Walmart, similar to a Walmart, to ensure that prices in different parts of the country remain the same, thus reducing the cost of living in the North. Imagine living in the North. The gas price is not double. The food prices are not double. You can live in the North at the same price as you live in the South. It's never been done before. This is one of our dreams, to make it affordable to live anywhere in Canada. Creating jobs through infrastructure projects across the country. A 4-lane superhighway like the German Autobahn. Oil pipelines traversing the country from east to west and south to north to reduce the price of oil and gas everywhere. Creating military bases to expand the military to 1 million men and women. Creating oil refineries. Creating nuclear energy plants to deliver clean, cheap nuclear energy electricity to all Canadians, thus drastically reducing the cost of home heating. Eliminating the harms of woke ideology. Our national anthem has been ruined by taking out "In All Thy Sons' Command," which was a tribute to our men who died in the wars. And they inserted "In All of Us Command." That's so Trudeau-like. "In all of us command" is not even proper English. If anything, it would be "in all of our command." Pathetic. Students are being indoctrinated with gender ideology. And you know where. I have personally seen this happen myself. We're going to stop the indoctrination of kids. We're going to stop the sexualization of kids. And kids are not going to be allowed to be exposed to perverse drag queen story hours where grown men are flashing their buttocks in front of little children. Disgusting. And it's perverse. It's going to stop. One other thing. The only flags that will be allowed to fly at any government building are going to be government flags. No special interest group, and you know who we're talking about, is going to have their little flag flying on government property. Streets and sidewalks will not be allowed to be painted or decorated with anything from now on for any special interest group. And you know what I'm talking about. The government will not recognize any month for any special group. Only Canadian official holidays may be recognized by any government or school system. Time for an end to promoting of certain groups above others. School libraries will not be allowed to have sexually explicit materials in them. This is out of hand, and children do not need to know how to have anal sex or how to give blowjobs. This is material that should not be in any school, period. Enough is enough. No one should be able to change the language. Why are they trying to change the language? It's all about control. Words are not violence. This is ludicrous. All hate speech laws will be abolished. If someone is being hateful to you, you have a choice. Don't listen, walk away, or call them an asshole. When the speech turns into a threat, that's different. Hate speech is like, "I wish you would die," etc. But when it turns into, "I'm going to kill you," that's a threat, and that's against the law. We're not going to allow discrimination, but the hate speech laws will be gone. There will be no personal pronouns. There will be no personal adjectives, no personal words. The language is the language, period. No person in Canada will be able to dictate to you what you say. Your speech is totally free. In any setting, any Canadian can use a person's legal name without penalty. You do not have to call someone what they want to be called. That is called controlling behavior. You do not have to assume someone else's beliefs about themselves. All right. And that's about it. There's a lot more on the pages. Check out the website. That's all for this section on eliminating harm to Canadians. Check out our other videos on freedompartyofcanada.com.